Well, hello, and good evening to you ladies, to everyone that is watching. I am so super excited that you have joined us for this day of this challenge and for the introduction of our very special guest who will be joining us as the speaker today. Listen, this has been an incredible time of engaging women, engaging our community of followers, also introducing you all to some of these incredible voices that have been challenging us to take a look at how we're treating our bodies, how we're treating our mind, how we're treating our heart, and how we're processing through this place called life. I hope you have been enjoying the speakers of the challenge that we have had. I hope that you are enjoying this phase of just engaging as a community of women and followers. I hope that you are sharing this with some ladies that you know need to be empowered, need to be inspired, need to be challenged to change their thinking, to change their perspective, and to see it different. Listen, my name is Scharita, Lacey, and I get a chance to lead this phenomenal organization. The Virtuous Women's Network is celebrating our 13-year anniversary this year, where we have been empowering and changing the lives of women around the globe through various different gatherings that we host through our online community and support, and through personal enrichment and coaching. So I am super proud of all of our Virtuous Women's Network Global, and I'm so excited to share with you what we have upcoming in just a couple of weeks. So to kick off tonight, we have a very special guest and interview with someone who I really admire, I appreciate, I love, because this woman is what you see is what you get. That is exactly who she is. I have loved her since I met her, and I am super excited to reintroduce her. Yes, she's no stranger, but it's been a while, and we're happy to bring her back to our platform. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone watching, please help me to welcome my sister, my friend, Verily Harris-Harper. How are you, sis?
I'm good, girlfriend. How are you? How
I am
are
doing
you?
so
I am
good.
good. I'm good.
You
So I
look
am
beautiful, Dow, as always.
as always, from one beauty to another. Okay.
It is so good to see you, and it's super excited to have you here to bring you back to our Virtuous Women's Network
No, it's
community.
been a long
Of course, some
time.
of them, yeah, it's been a long time, 2017 since she was with us as a guest
Yeah.
speaker. You see that
Right.
flyer? We had some
Yes.
phenomenal women during that time: Mary Seawright, Aziza Morrison, Naomi Rain, and some phenomenal panelists from across the country. And Verily was right with them. Look at her there, worshiping the
Yeah.
Lord. Come on.
Worship.
she,
Listen, did I
listen, she gonna worship. She gonna worship.
I don't
The
worship. Let's
photographer
go.
caught her.
Listen,
This
I
is
was
her.
so it was so
Yes.
funny. Someone and I were just talking about, as a matter of fact, Phoenix, my best girlfriend, was just sharing with somebody about the conference because we were talking about the conference. As a matter of fact, with Cheryl, the night that Cheryl and I did the recording, we were talking about the conference, and Cheryl didn't know. And Phoenix was talking about the worship that night and how I was so engaged and involved. I said, honey, it was Naomi Rain before it was Naomi Rain, right?
I had her
Yeah.
first, right?
Yeah, like it was Naomi Rain
Women's Empowerment Summit.
before she was Naomi Rain.
Right.
And
It was
she was
powerful.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
She was absolutely amazing. And I have followed her ever since. So it has been a
Yeah.
pleasure, like, right, to see the elevation, right? And the evolution of the now known, right, world renowned Naomi Rain. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love
Listen, she was right here with us in South Jersey, wasn't she?
it.
At
Absolutely, she
Women's
was.
Empowerment Summit
Her,
2017. Listen,
honey,
she was right
her,
on the panel with you.
her and her guitar.
Listen,
That's
and
all.
porn.
Her and
Her and
her
her
guitar. That's it. That's all of her and her
Yes,
guitar.
and we saw it then. We saw it then.
Yeah.
We prophesied it then into her. I spoke with her
Yeah.
then, and she was like, I received. But it is so amazing. And that's a good segue to see the doors people, the people that have come and they've
Yeah.
gone on and flourished. The hand of the Lord has
Yeah.
been with them. And that's kind of like you. When you came, you were starting your practice. You were
Yeah.
just launching. You had just graduated. Your husband at the
Oh my
time
God.
was super proud of
Yeah.
you. And look at
Oh
you
my
here praying over the women and your mental health session that you did.
God.
It was phenomenal. And your husband was there to support you. He came
He was,
to the
honey,
night of worship, honey. Mr.
okay?
Ramon was Pastor, what we call him, Pastor EP, Executive Pastor Ramon was there. Would you tell us a little bit about what it was like to kind of do this assignment in Jersey with him there? Because this was kind of one of your coming out, because you were just moving to Jersey permanently, I think, at the time,
Yeah.
like around
Yes.
2014, 2015.
So
And
2015,
he was so proud of you. He was
2020.
so proud of you. And you were excited, of course, to be asked. We met each other in the space of the church. My
Yeah.
husband at the time was working at, you were a member, your husband was working
Yeah.
at, and that's, he talked about you before I ever met you, because you were not there when we joined, started
Yeah.
working at the church in 14. And he was like, oh yeah, just wait till you meet my wife, Verily. You're going to love her. Honey, I knew everything there was to know about you before you ever came, because he was, really, to be honest, he thought we had a lot of similarities. And I honestly can see why. And he was just like, wait till you meet her. And I listen, Pastor Ramon did not lie. He did not disappoint. When I met her, I was like, she is hilarious. And she is a ball of fun, but she don't play. She is true blue. She's true blue. She don't play. She not phony. She ain't here for this church stuff. She ain't here for this church stuff. But she's true blue. So talk to us what it was like, because your husband was the only man that came on Saturday, but he attended the night of worship as well. But he came and heard you speak on Saturday at the conference. So tell the people a little bit about the love of your life and what that was like to have him in that experience with you here for this coming out for this conference.
So it's so funny because you came in, well, by the time we met, right, I was like completely open. So, we came into partnership with Kingdom, now known as Change, back in 2007. Right. So we lived there in Jersey. Yeah. They were clients of ours initially. And so we lived there from what?
See, you setting the story for me.
2009 to 2012. And then we relocated back to Houston in 2012. And so, of course, they remained clients of ours even while we relocated back to Houston. And then 2015, Ramon was traveling back and forth from the time we relocated in 2012 to the time we relocated again. Yeah. So that's how we ended up that
coming back.
Jersey. We were coming back. And so first time, I really wasn't open to a lot of things. From 2009, 2012, I really wasn't, that was different for me, having been native Houstonian, born and raised, traveled all over, right? Because of, the singing affiliation that I had, right? So traveled all over, but living was Houston, Texas, born and raised. And so then Ramon and I start with dating, we get engaged, and he's like, babe, I think God is calling us. God is calling me, he said. God is calling me to relocate to Jersey. And so by me, he meant us, because we meant to get married, right? And so I was like, you said, come again, say what? He wanted us to do what? Right? And I've never lived apart from my family. Like, my family was my support system. And so you mean tell me the Lord want me to move with a man that I'm getting ready to marry, baby. And then by that time in my head, I'm like, baby, I don't even know you like that. To be relocated. I did.
Listen.
I really did tell him, like, he said that, and I said, let me call you back. Right? That was let me call you back. You all right? Yeah, because the Lord said this to you. Me and the Lord need to have a conversation. So I literally hung up that phone. And immediately I'm sitting in the car and the Holy Spirit says, you stay here, you die. And I immediately knew what that meant, right? And he wasn't talking about a physical death, but it probably would have
Yeah.
been so bad and stagnant spiritually that it probably would have felt like a physical death, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
of right the disobedience of the thing. And so
Yes.
married, we relocated, and the rest is history. And
Woo! The rest is history.
yeah,
Listen. That,
relocating back in 2015 was very different because I was very open um, to what God had to
yeah.
say about that second relocation. Was very open to
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And that kind of brought us into each other's space, obviously, because had you not came back, I wouldn't have met you.
That's
So I
right.
was super
That's
excited about
right.
that. So we always like to kind of
Yeah.
reflect on where we started because it gives
Yeah.
context, So Verily is coming back. We are excited to welcome her. The Women's Empowerment Summit has continued to thrive and grow over the
I
years
love
since she was with us in
it.
2017 in
Yeah.
Princeton, New Jersey. We have,
Oh yeah.
been in Ohio where we started. We've been in Princeton, New Jersey, Mount Laurel, New Jersey, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Atlanta, Georgia last year. Now we're headed to
Look at that.
Houston,
That
Texas.
H-Town.
And listen, we are super excited about it. And so I think I'm going to do it in a little bit of reverse this time. I'm going to let you go ahead and share on the summit and why the women should come. And then we're going to jump into the conversation. You guys stay with us. It's a reason I'm working it like this, because when we get into this conversation with Miss Verily, she's got some tips and tools for you. She's going to share some pieces of her heart too about hurting while helping others while hurting. Okay. Because listen, it's a whole big thing out
That's a
here.
lot to unpack.
Self-care is a real thing. Listen, self-love is a real thing. And I want to get into her interview, and I want to let her followers just be patient with us. Hello to the Virtuous Women's Network. Hello to Verily Harper's followers. And we want you all to be patient with us. We're going to work through it. I promise you it's going to be great, but we're going to get through the summit announcement. So we are super excited to have you be a part of the Women's Empowerment Summit. You are going to be one of our featured speakers and featured panelists. We are super excited to have you. You are joining a dynamic group of women, come on, that are going to be here and with us. And they are ready to pour on Saturday, August the 10th in Houston, Texas. These are some phenomenal women. We have Mayor Pro Tem Councilwoman Martha Kasich Tatum. We have Dr. Alyssa Jones, founder of Survivors with Voices nonprofit. We have Lady Jessica Cooper, therapist and branding coach and leading lady there at her ministry in Houston. We have Dr. Tori Knox, phenomenal entrepreneur, woman of influence, prophetic voice. We have Dr. Mimi Brown, a phenomenal woman of influence as well, an apostolic voice in that region. We have you for sure, Miss Verily Harris-Harper, clinical therapist. Come on, doing so many amazing things. So talk to them a little bit about the space that you'll be operating in, who you are, a little bit about yourself, and why it is that you want to encourage them to get in the room at this Women's Empowerment Summit in Houston. So I'll turn it over to you to just share with everybody.
So listen, if it is literally anything like 2017, and I know that the Women's Empowerment Summit has grown and evolved, and I'm so very excited that God is continuously place this on your heart to keep going, right? Like even through your own things that you have kept going, and in this vision as the visionary of this thing, and you were able to carry this out. And we are trying to help these women heal, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. So of course we cannot do it in the 6 hours and 6 to 8 hours that we have with one another, but at least we can jumpstart. And we're going to engage trauma. We're going to engage wounds. And I tell people, pain hurts, right? But first it hurts, then it heals. That's one of my things. That's one of my go-tos. First it hurts, then it heals. And that's part of my role. And I guess I'm kind of working through this thing too, because that's been my assignment, as long as I can remember. And now just doing it in different sectors, right? From business to ministry, and marrying the two. That's gonna be my role at this summit, as I partner with these amazing ladies who are also on this platform as well. But talking about trauma and wounds, and I think that's something that we all share. Like, that's a universal thing, whether we are male or female, we all share the space of trauma and wounds. And I've been doing this work for a long time. Even before I became a clinical therapist, shall I say, the work started long before that. I can remember being 19 years old, and I was getting out of my car, literally coming from the grocery store. And the Holy Spirit was like, look around. I am calling you to speak to the walking dead, and you are a picture of hope. And I, at the time, in full, did not know what that meant, right? In its totality. But as my life began to unfold, it made sense. That statement made sense. And so here I am today, doing what I have been purposed to do, right? Whether in my personal life, right? Or whether in business, whether in ministry. I always like to think that everybody that comes into contact with me gets that part of me, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Listen, you heard it firsthand from her. She's telling you she's been a part of this work. She's seen the evolution. She's happy to be back years later. We obviously invited her back because of her impact in mental health and with women, and with her experience in life. She is real. She is authentic. And tonight's interview will be just a taste of what you will get in her private breakout session, and what you're going to hear in the Courageous Women's Forum on that morning when she shares her truth and her testimony and story. So I am excited. Again, we want you to go to empowermentsummit.net. Come on and be here, be in the room, be in the space with these phenomenal women on Saturday, August the 10th. 2024 in Houston, Texas. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. Yay. All right. Well, listen, I'm glad that we were able to work through that first. We want you guys to share and tag. And I am ready to get into this conversation with our guest speaker on tonight, Miss Verily Harris-Harper. I am excited for them to learn more about you. I am excited for them to hear about how you navigate your life, not through the lens of trauma, not through the lens of your pain. And so tell people just a little bit about who you are, where you are, how you got your start in your passion, and what you're doing in marketplace. And then let's jump into our conversation topics. We're going to help some people on tonight. And so we want you guys to stay with us in the chat and be excited. Okay, Verily.
All right. So listen, I always tell people I didn't choose this field. It actually chose me. Right? Like native Houstonian, born and raised, and many people do not know, but I was in the oil and gas field for about 17 plus years in finance. So my undergraduate degree is in business management, and my master's is in counseling, right? And so just about when I did everything backwards, I had kids first. I went to college late and I only went. Okay, let's be clear. I only went because I got denied a position change with the oil and gas company that I was working with. And they told me, they made a statement to me. The manager who wanted me to relocate to his department came into my office and closed the door. And he said, Verily, he said, I got to tell you something. He said, HR is blocking the move. And I said, why? He said, they say you aren't qualified. That's all I needed to hear. It was in that moment, literally, I said, okay. When he left out of my office, I got online. And because, of course, I got to work, I was looking for an adult learning program that could, where I could do school and still maintain my employment. So I said, all right. So I made some calls. I did some research, and I'd already been researching. But it was then in that moment that I said, nobody will ever be able to tell me what I'm not qualified for. So I literally went and talked to admissions that day. And I started to schooling probably within the next couple of weeks after that. Because I said, everybody gonna ever be able to tell me what I'm not qualified for. We're not doing that. Right. And so as I was getting ready to graduate, I kept saying, all right, God, where do I go now? What am I going to do now? And so as God would have it, and Ramon and I started dating around that time. And as God would have it, he had launched out and began his B&B Consulting and Associates, right? And so I was like, I'm trying to see what I'm going to do once I graduate. And I think I was just 2 months shy of my bachelor's degree, of earning my bachelor's degree. And so funny because I actually graduated on his birthday that year. Oh yeah, it's a lot to unpack. Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
Yes.
It's a lot to unpack. So I get ready to graduate and I walk into my office the day after my birthday that year. 2007. Yeah, day after my birthday, 2007. I walk into my office. Something felt weird, felt off. And honey, let me tell y'all, first of all, let me tell y'all something about the Holy Spirit. He will not leave you in the dark if you seek it, right? He won't leave you in the dark. All right. The Holy Spirit say, pack up your office, pack up your things, and take it to your car. And I heard it again, loud as day. Loud as I'm talking to you. Pack up your things and take it to your car. So I start packing up my office. And at lunchtime, I took my box to my car. So by 2:30, the VP of finance comes to my office and asks if he can speak to me. And then I said, well, do I need to give my things? And he said, no. So I go into HR, and some things over the last 45 days during that time, things have started to get really shaky. And I don't know about y'all, but God will begin to agitate things for me when it's time for me to move on, right? So I go have that meeting. They terminate me right there on the spot. Now, mind you, for nothing that I had done, because I hadn't done anything. But years later, the person who had put that in motion ended up reaching out to me on social media and apologizing to me. Because she had put some things in motion, right? But she didn't know she was a part of the plan, though, right? She was a part of the plan. So I get terminated. The lady says, well, I'll walk you back to your office. So I grabbed my purse, and I had a vase of roses there that Ramon had sent to me the day before for my birthday. And so I grabbed my bag, I grabbed my purse, I grabbed the roses. She said, that's all you have? I said, yes, that's all I got. So she was looking like, this is weird. So I go to the car. I call Ramon because by this time I'm upset. I'm livid. And I said, I just got terminated. And Ramon's words to me were, good. Now you can do what you've been called to do. Those were his
always
words.
Pushing you. Always your pusher.
Always.
Yes.
So
he was your pusher. Listen.
He was my pusher.
He was Verily's advocate.
He was my advocate. And so, honey, the next week, I think I sought out a master's program, a clinical master's program, done my research with that. And I started to school. I walked away got terminated from oil and gas in October. And I was starting to a master's program in January. And so, awesome. It just the ball was rolling.
That's how you ended up in this work. Yes. That's how she ended up in this work. So ladies, keep in mind, and men watching, sometimes your purpose path will find you, and you need to be sensitive, like she said, to the voice of the Holy Spirit, to wise counsel in your life, and to those who are telling you, because sometimes you have to be challenged to make a change. Sometimes we love the safety net of what we're doing, but sometimes God is trying to give you more than you can imagine. Wow. So you are in Houston. There's been a lot going on in Houston the past few weeks, and we've been praying, but we're excited to bring hope to Houston. You love Houston. You are a Houston woman, like you said, H-Town. What do you want to share with the audience about your family or personal life?
Oh, goodness. I mean, we're talking about Ramon. I don't know, some people may know, some people may not know, but Ramon is now deceased, right? We're going up on 5 years. October 31st of this year will make 5 years. Can you believe that?
that
years.
you've been a widow, in the
5
space of
years
a
that I've
widow?
been widow. Yeah. 5 years. Y'all, time
Wow.
flies. Time
Time is
flies.
moving.
Time is moving. Many people don't know we were a blended family. I have two biological children. Mine are my daughter is getting ready to be 30, August 14th.
Woo!
30 years old, August 14th.
Wow.
And my son is 23 years old. I have a grandson who's 9 years old.
Wow.
That's it. Love my family. We're pretty close knit.
Wow.
I like to live my life
Yeah.
unproblematic, drama free as best I can.
Yes.
I'm still
Wow.
operating in the private practice, as you stated. Jersey is where I launched the practice in
Yeah.
2015. And so, even after Ramon's death and my relocation back to Texas, because I'm licensed in both Texas and in New Jersey, and the bulk of my clients are still in Jersey. I have not, and y'all hold me accountable. If you're watching this, y'all start bombarding me, right? Because I've not even fully launched in Texas yet. I'm still
Okay.
like Jersey. Bulk of my clients are still in Jersey. So I've not even fully
Okay.
launched in Texas yet. I'm working on it. Let's hope by first. Let's hope by
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
quarter next year. I'm giving myself a
Yeah.
little first quarter next year. But I like I said, I'm
Yeah.
licensed, and I've recently, over the past 6 months, I think, I am
Yeah.
also an LPC supervisor, so I can supervise up and coming clinicians as well.
That is
And to also,
phenomenal.
yeah, still keep the consulting part that Ramon and I, our consulting baby, that is still alive and well, but I just do it in a different capacity now with my own clients. I just got back from Jersey, and I have a corporate client that I deal with there, and they have a branch in Dallas that I frequent and go to as well. So I've started
Yeah.
some consultant things from a business operational executive coaching perspective, which is great, that I absolutely love. And every time I do these trainings and these retreats for my corporate clients, he's like literally always on my shoulder, in my ear as I'm preparing. Like, what do you want them to walk away with? I can literally hear him. What do you want them to walk away with? What's going to be your impact? What do you want them
Yeah.
to say about coming into contact with you? So yeah, so
Um,
they, you know,
yeah. Listen, she's doing the thing, y'all. She's doing the thing. Now, one thing is that you move in the space of healing work. You do
yeah,
a lot of healing work, with clients that have gone through grief, that have gone through loss, that have gone through heartbreak, those that are dealing with unjust situations in their life, just whatever it could be in the space of just sickness, grief, losing loved ones, losing opportunities, people that are working through emotional challenges in their mental health, and those that are trying to find self-love and identity. So you have experience with it all. You are not afraid of trauma. You're not afraid of people's past. You're not afraid to help people do the work, to get better and to be tender with their hearts as they try to navigate through life, because there's not just one size that fits all, right, in the space of healing, and it's not always a complete work. And I know when you hear that, it's like, well, Jesus can heal, like, and Jesus can, and Jesus does. And if the Lord is in it and he touches you, I tell you, your mind can be healed in an instant. Heartbreak can be healed in an instant. We don't limit, listen, God's ability. But for most people, they're going to require some more help that the
yeah,
church hasn't always been equipped in past years to
yeah.
handle. I know a lot of churches have hired people like you, and
Mhm.
you've probably worked with churches. And then I
Mhm.
know a lot of employers have placed an emphasis. So we know mental health has come a long way over the past 10 years, and especially through the COVID years. I want you to talk about just for a few moments, and we got a couple of other topics to hit, and hopefully you guys are getting something from this challenge night and this conversation with Miss Verily Harris-Harper. We want you to be sure to share this with others who need to hear this, who need hope, who need to be pulled up out of the darkness, okay? And stay in the comments and stay engaged with us. So I want you to just talk a little bit about the lens of healing and discovering, self-love and self-care through that, and what that has looked like for you. I want you to talk about having to navigate this space
Mm.
while you're hurting and while you're going through life. And so give us just a little, I guess, backdrop to your story, and then we'll say something to the audience.
Oh, that's loaded. Like that's a lot to unpack. Like that's a lot to unpack. So, and when I think about, so I'll just kind of go with more recent. I think that in the space of grief, right? I think that a lot of people don't even know that you grieve long before you ever physically lose a person, right? Because there are areas of your life that require you to navigate it from a space of grief. Does that make sense? When I first got into this field and I was doing my internship at this institution here in this organization here in Houston, over in the Midtown area, major organization here, they were doing a major work with women who were dually diagnosed with both mental illness and also addictions. Right. So that was my first internship place. That was my first met my clinical mentor, who Miss Cynthia K. I just love her. But I was in this class with them, facilitating this group, co-facilitating this group. And it was Gentle Path through the 12 steps. It was very different. Right. And so it took them on a journey of healing, right? It took them on a journey of investigation. So each session, we would unpack some things, right? Some very intimate things of traumas, abuse, and things like that. And so one day we're sitting in there and we're talking about grief. And it hit me. While I'm in there trying to co-facilitate the group for them, right? They have no idea that things are shifting also for me in that space. So for the first time in my life, and that was probably around 2012 maybe. So for the first time in my life, I was able to put, as I've coined it now, I was able to put legs to my pain. Right? I was able to put verbiage to it. I was able to put legs to it. And a lot of times we navigate this because grief is not a household topic, right? Grief is not a household topic. There ain't nothing we just sit around the dinner table talking about. We won't talk about that. There ain't nothing we sit around with brunch with girlfriends talking about. And so for me, everything finally made sense up to that point, right? Not knowing that would be pillars for me as I navigated the rest of my life as up to this point, right? That those moments would be so useful in observing what grief really is and how not managing your grief can turn into other things, right? And can show up in other ways in your life, from the anxiety, from the depression, even more severe psychosis, right? How those things can show up when you get under pressure, not knowing what to do with all of that. Because guess what? We were not designed to house all of that. We weren't designed to house all that. We weren't designed to stuff all that stuff in us. We weren't. And I tell my clients often, if pressure will burst a pipe, what do you think pressure will do to the human body? What do you think it is doing to the human body? Right? So we have to learn how to unpack that stuff. So that's kind of
That was good.
Yeah.
No, that was a great example of wow, navigating grief and helping others while you're healing. And so many of you watching this maybe have to continue to go to work, get up and get yourself ready, pay the bills. Some of you got to preach under pressure, pray for others under pressure. Some of you are in the medical field. Some of you have to raise children by yourself. Some of you have loved ones that you're caring for, right? It's so many different things that we have to continue to navigate while we're in the space of healing. What are some of the ways that you have been able to take care of your heart and take care of your sanity and
honey,
maintain your peace through life's trials. I mean, because a lot of people um, equate grief to just the loss of life and the loss of loved ones. And we know you suffered a very traumatic loss, more than one actually. One that we haven't spoken about, but your
My
beautiful
beautiful
grand girl,
friend.
your beautiful grand girl, which was just, I think, very difficult for you and Ramona, your daughter, of course, to walk through that. But that, you can grieve many, many things, but certainly
Yeah.
the loss of life and becoming a widow at such a young age, I don't
Mm.
think that's what you signed up for when y'all got together and you didn't understand that like widowhood was awaiting you at year something in the like that wasn't part of the plan,
Let me tell you something.
so
Had I known, like, no. Had I known, I would have said, nah, no thanks. Right? No, thank you. I don't want to. I don't want to do it. No, thank you. But oftentimes, right, God shows us the beginning and he may even show us the end, but he doesn't show us that middle walk, that middle journey that we have to take, the part of that middle path that we got to take, right, to get
yeah,
from one side to the other side. He said, okay,
yeah,
I'm going to show you how it's beginning, and you might
yeah,
even know how it might end, right? The journey that I'll take you, you know what you want it to look like if it's in alignment with my will for you. So you know what you want that to look like,
yes.
but you don't know what you have to navigate to get to that other
You
side or
don't
whatever.
know. That's good. Y'all ought to put that in the chat. You don't know
Yeah,
what you have to navigate when you say yes to God. And when
yeah,
you say yes to God's purpose, his
yeah,
plan, when you say yes to God's person for
oh
you,
yeah,
when you
yeah.
say yes to having children, you don't know
Mhm.
what you're going to get when you have children.
You don't know what you're
You
gonna get.
don't know what you're
You know
saying
what-
yes to.
yeah. And here's the thing, right? So the word is clear. Like when Jesus and the disciples were on the boat, and he said, "We're gonna go over to the other side." Right? Had
Yeah.
they known that
Yeah.
it was a huge storm coming, they probably wouldn't have got on the boat. They probably would be like, "Well,
I
hold
mean,
on," because right,
yeah.
they were all like skilled fishermen, right? So they know, like,
Yeah.
nah, they probably would have said, "It's not safe for us to get on this boat right now
Come
because a
on.
storm is
Yeah.
coming." Right?
And
And
how many
so,
times have we done that when things are not safe?
yeah.
Stayed on the shore.
We stay on shore. It's not safe. So
Yeah,
had they known, but Jesus knew that the storm was coming, right? They might not have known, but he did. And he was
yeah,
like, we're going to get on this boat and go to the other side. But it got shaky on that
yeah,
thing. And honey, life, that is a perfect example of how life does.
yes,
It gets shaky. And you
yes,
like, now, wait, now, hold
yes,
on now. Because you didn't tell me
yes,
how when we was at shore. You didn't tell me this.
yes, yes. So what do we do? That's a great segue. In the shaking.
In the
Ha. I feel the
shaking, in the
Holy Spirit
shaking,
help. I
in the
feel the
shaking.
Holy Spirit helping us this
Oh
this evening.
God.
In
Yeah,
the shaking. I'm just gonna say in the shaking.
in the
In the
shaking.
shaking, let's just type that. In the
In
shaking
the
of life.
Yeah.
What is our posture? What is our response? How do we handle the shaking? Because some of us have been stirred,
Yeah.
some of us have been poured,
Yeah.
but baby, the shaking is not the same as the stirring. It's
Uh-uh.
not the same as being poured,
Uh-uh.
pouring your life.
Uh-uh.
Shaking is violent
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shaking is abrupt.
Honey, that
Shaking is sometimes without notice. So
that
you don't got a
shaking
lot of warning.
that shaking will knock the breath out of you. Like it will make you lose it'll make you lose your breath. It will knock the wind out of you. That shaking will knock the wind out of you. And I can remember when Ramon was
Wow.
after when we were in Orlando because we were became dual residents of both Orlando and Jersey in 2019. So we were living in Orlando when he passed. And I remember when he took gravely ill, and I took all of my clients virtually. There would be nights that he would be trying to get some rest, baby. But me and God would have a time in there. The vein, the posture. I fought, right, to stay in the posture of worship and in the posture of gratefulness, even to see. Um, I tell people, and they probably think that I am absolutely insane for saying it this way, but my husband died a beautiful death. And I still say it today. And it is one that I literally will find myself considering, even just looking at his journey, because his journey just didn't start in 2019, right? He was first diagnosed in 2017. We had navigated through that, and all was supposed to be well. Okay.
I remember.
And let's talk about when all is supposed to be well, and then boom, you hit with something else.
Come on. Did you hear that, ladies? Man, when all supposed to be well, and then you get hit with something else.
And then you get hit with something else, right?
The shaking. Because I remember you were very discreet. You and Ramon, first of all, most people that know y'all were very honorable. Y'all were but y'all were bigger than life. Y'all had fun, but y'all protected what y'all had. You know what I mean? So y'all weren't out here telling the whole entire world. And I don't think it's I think it's okay for me to share, but you did tell me in confidence, on the phone. And I was praying the next time it came back, and we were believing God and stuff. And all was supposed to be well. All was supposed to be well. And I remember coming over. I don't know if you remember that Christmas, you and Ramon invited the children and I over. And I was going through my own stuff. Now she faced with something that she didn't have something returned that she thought was done. But she had enough. She had, watch this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is getting ready to make me tear up. Yeah. She had enough love in her heart to still show me hospitality while I was grieving my marriage and grieving being broken and hurting. And she doesn't know, because we really haven't talked about it. Oh my gosh. But it just meant a lot that they open their doors up when people leave and they turn their backs. Sometimes people are nowhere to be found when it all falls apart. For whatever reason, we weren't super, super close during that time. But she leaned in when all that stuff happened. And it was a difficult place to navigate, because unfortunately, because of her husband's role, he was a part of like some of the stuff that happened on the employment side. But he was just doing his job. But the marriage, I could care less about what was happening I was like torn apart. Because everything happened at the same time. And I felt like we were violated. We were uncovered in a time where we really needed like people to come through on what they said they would do when we moved our entire life out here. When I brought my autistic son out here, when I left my job with the federal government to follow my husband's dream, we needed people to honor their word. And at the time, it just didn't seem like the people were holding their end of the bargain. And oh, by the way, my best friend had died unexpectedly. The shaking of life. And oh, by the way, I was coming on my 10-year wedding anniversary. The shaking of life, and my marriage had fell apart. I mean, all four things happened within a week of each other. And I found myself just grabbing. I was grabbing for anybody. And I tell you, if it wasn't for Stephanie Carter, I love you. Stephanie Daniels and Verily leaning in, because they're like the only two out here, to be honest, during that time from that circle that really leaned in. And for whatever reason, Verily just leaned in. And honey, she invited me and them kids over. And I just remember being there, and I could care less about that stuff that was going on behind the scenes, the business side stuff. I was just broken about my family and my marriage, And she invited me and them kids over, so we weren't home alone. She said, well, what y'all doing? I said, oh, we just gonna be by ourselves. Honey, Verily invited us over for the holiday. She cooked a feast. She let me come over and just rest. Now, she was going through what she was going through, and they were getting the news they were getting. They were doing more tests and stuff. But, I was sensitive to that, but I just helping others while you're healing. I mean, she found capacity to still open her heart and her home. And I thought I was going to talk about this at the summit, and I'm so surprised I did this in this interview, but you guys just, if y'all are watching this, I did not plan to do this. And those that know me, if you really know Scharita Lacey, you will know she did not plan to do this.
Did not plan to do this at all.
Okay, I was not planning to do that, but something came out of me. But this woman is selfless. She is selfless. And to me, her and Ramon's life were very selfless. I didn't get to know them as much as I wanted to before I moved, because I had moved to Europe shortly after my life fell apart and everything. I stayed a little longer, a couple of years, and then I left for a while. And of course, when I returned from Europe, I was coming in from Germany to attend Ramon's services. I was there, but I was not going to miss it. And I remember hugging there at the end, and I took that picture. You still have all of his brothers and you on the stage. I was like, let's get a picture with you and them. I don't know if you remember, but I had to be there because I love this woman. She's special to me. I think God gives you a special love for people just because they're so authentic and they're just full of life. And to me, Verily is full of life. And to watch her serve him, she talks about how beautiful his death and transition was. But I have to say this, like, that was because of you. You made his journey to the other side beautiful. God graced you, his wife, the wife of his youth, his bride. Like, God gave you the capacity to do it. And I have to think and just believe, like, now that we look back at you all's love story in hindsight, I have to believe that God took you into the mental health field so that you would have the capacity to steward this assignment. Like, because some of us, let's just be honest, might have failed the test, but she was able to be both wife and therapist and counselor, and and she made it beautiful for him. He didn't have any regret. He was able to transition in peace. And I have to say this. Let me put myself in full screen, Vera. I'm gonna bring you back in a second, but I have to say this. And I know it's years down the road and we're not redigging anything, but I have to say this because you need to be honorable to people's choices and their wishes. And some people place their own need in their own way they wanted to do it above the needs of the wife and the family. And I think, ladies and gentlemen watching, this is a good time to learn when people are going through grief and debt. There's a way to handle the public and social media and what you want to pray compared to what they're asking to pray. Ramon had already told his wife what he wanted. So you don't get a chance to call a prayer call and think we're going to veto his will. Listen, y'all are crazy. The church is crazy sometimes. Y'all crazy.
Do you remember?
Crazy folk. And it has took me 5 years because I have not been able to get. Me and Bear have not had an interview, and I would dare not do a lot just to share my thoughts on it. All these years. This is the first opportunity I've had to address this. Y'all got to be out of y'all mind to do a prayer call when the man has already said it is well. And that was his choice. You've got to come into agreement with what people desire. And she was there to protect him and to make sure his transition was on his timeline. She was not there to choose for him. So you got to honor people's choices. So let's talk about when we're there to help people, but you want to do it your way. Okay. There's people, I ask them, I say, what do you need from me? Because you need a car, but maybe today you just want some Uber money. You can't help people the way you want to help them. Some people, they don't want to be helped, but then some people, they don't want to be dishonored either. When you all are helping people, remember they're human, they're hurting, they're grieving, they've got a lot to manage. You can't just do things your way. So let's talk about how we can respect people's boundaries as we help people, as we go through things, because this is something that really bothers me and something I know you are trying to help. Well, at one point you were trying to help the church in. Talk about that just for a minute. I'm sorry. I know I had a little moment, but hey, I've been waiting for this.
And that's why I'm laughing so hard, because you remember, it's so funny. You remember when I had to reprimand them people in public about that? And here's the spiritual implication of that, right? Because here we are, me and my husband, we're in agreement for this one thing. And that one thing is hard, right? That one thing is hard. Because here it is, the hard thing that we have accepted the fact that he get ready to transition out of here, right? So we get ready to have to walk this death thing out in real time, okay? But now here's the harder part of that. Here I am, like y'all fighting us in the spirit and don't even realize it. Like you fighting, you warring with me and the dying in the spirit and don't even realize it. You ain't talked to me. I mean, ain't called me, contacted me, and you rallying up troops to do this. No, y'all out of order. That's like y'all out of order. And because you had it plastered all over social media, that's where I have to reprimand it at on social media. That's where I have to realign it on social media. And I have to say, now you come into agreement with us or you don't at all. While I appreciate, right, your sentiment, but you out of order. You ain't done the right thing first. Let me deal with I'm not going to say the church. I'm going to say the people of the church, right? As we have to deal with the people of the church, right? Like you have to, it's about the consideration for me. It is about it's about consideration. One of my first ethics as a clinician is do no harm. That's one of the first ethics. Do no harm. But that's also a part of my life's ethic too. Do no harm. If you can help. Who is that? I think it's the Dalai Lama that said that if you can help. But if you cannot, do no harm. So that's one of my first ethics, even as a clinician. Do no harm. And so we have too many. And I talk about this all day, and I know we can't be all day, but that's one of the first things that's in organized religion is the fact that we gotta stop leaving bloodbaths out here, because it's a lot of bloodbaths out here. Because people do not follow the ethic of do no harm. It's a lot of bloodbaths out here. It's a lot of people that have to answer, a lot of leadership that has to answer for that. Yeah. So I ain't gonna get into this. They'll take us down a whole other.
Yes, that's good. Yeah, take us down a whole nother path. But there is a right way to help people.
There's a right way.
So I'm glad that we had this moment, and there's a wrong way. And we know that unmanaged grief can be toxic. I know they say grieve out loud, grieve the way you want to. No one can tell you how to grieve. Baby, I support all those statements with a small caveat, because only the wife that's buried her husband, only the mother that's buried a child she delivered, right? Only the man or woman that both parents are deceased and he's left here in the earth and he don't have no parents. Only those people really understand. But guess what? Even when you understand it and you've lost your mother, you've lost a husband, you don't understand their process of grief. Yeah. So we got to always remember that everybody grieves differently, but unmanaged grief has consequences. Yeah, and I love when people tell you, grieve out loud, but I want to caution, because I want to help you. Get the help you need, because unmanaged grief will cause you to lose your job, baby. Buddy, they ain't gonna let you come up in there too many more times and cuss folks out. Okay, unmanaged grief will keep people away from you. Okay, because you're bitter, you're broken, and you're sorrowful. And if we really believe God like we say we believe, then after a while, that thing's got to turn. After a while, because either he's God or the grief is God. Either he's on the throne of your life or the grief is on the throne. So we got to choose. We got to choose what's going to be on the throne now. And so we got power to overcome, right? Unhealed places. We got power to overcome grief. Not all grief is because somebody died. Some grief is because you're sorrowful, you're broken, you're disappointed about where you thought you were going to be in life. You're disappointed about the way your life turned out. You're disappointed about a decision you made.
And the idea, right? Some people have to grieve the idea of something that they thought it would be, right? That's kind of what divorce is. Nobody plans on getting married to get a divorce. You understand? Like nobody does that. Nobody says, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get married today," and then 10 years up the line, we're gonna get a divorce. So nobody plans for it. And so you have to grieve the idea of what you thought that thing was going to be. Right? We have this thing about forever, and I tell people after the death of my husband, I tell people my forever is today. So whatever this today looks like, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to be. We don't know what the day after that is going to be. We don't know what
Say that again. My forever is today.
forever is today.
Wow.
My forever is today.
Listen. Well, that's a good segue. How has grief shaped the way you live today? A lot of us are, even in the chat, that are watching it or that will see this replay. We live under the expectations of people while trying to be our true self. How have you discovered and found Verily again? What expectations do you live by now? How has grief shaped your story and what you do and how you live today?
So here's the thing. Along the way, because I believe in doing the work, right? And in your own person. So Verily was never lost. Verily was never lost. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure of that, even in my marriage. Verily was never
Yeah.
lost. Verily was married to Ramon Harper, but together we were a team. Right.
Yeah.
We were not, I was not walking behind him. Now we walked hand in hand. I was my own individual person with God's own vision for my life and my own vision. And one of the things that the Holy Spirit said to me is my vision for your life has not changed. And while circumstances may have shifted, my vision for your life has not changed. So you're still
good.
You are still doing and still going to be who I've chosen you to be, even before Ramon Harper came into play.
Say that again.
Even before.
Wow. Fire in the chat. Y'all should be putting fire in the chat. That's a whole word.
Yeah, because so often, the reason why people have to find themselves is because they weren't sure about who they were in the beginning. So I didn't have to find anything. I may have had
in the first place.
I may have had to reorganize. I may have had to restructure, right? But I ain't had to relocate. I'd have to relocate myself. I wasn't lost.
Oh, that is so good, because there are some people and some widows who are not living. They gone to the end of the world. They listen, they like stop when the baby died, when the husband died, when they lost that job, when they lost that best friend, when somebody betrayed them and put them into social media and spread rumors about them. When that sickness came, some people stop in trauma. They stop in grief. They stop in abuse.
And listen, there is an emotional pause that happens, right?
Yeah.
But if you're navigating that space and you're doing the work, and the work is not easy. Like I'm almost 5 years in, and there are days that I still wake up and be like, hey, I didn't ask. This is not the life I agreed to. But really, though, in all actuality, it is. Right? So when I said yes, I agreed. When I married that man, I came into agreement. Right?
You did, yes, with his guy.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we don't get to pick and choose what certain seasons look like. When we come into agreement, we don't get to pick that.
Yeah.
So it is our duty, right, to honor ourselves, even in spaces of pain. Yeah. Right? Even in spaces.
Woo! Hold on now. Fire in the chat. Woo! We must honor ourselves in spaces of pain.
Even in spaces of pain. We got to honor ourselves. Even there, we can't.
So you don't get to just be dishonorable to yourself.
You don't get to be dishonorable to yourself.
You don't just dishonor yourself because pain has showed up.
Because pain has showed up.
Wow. How can we privately practice some of these things? Like for some of the women and men, we hope you guys are getting a lot. Listen, Miss Verily Harris-Harper is not no joke. I told y'all, this girl, first of all, this was not supposed to be no session for me. But you see the anointing and the oil on her. She just kind of, it's like a faucet, I guess, with what she does. But it's her spirit, it's her energy, it's the beauty, but it's the way she honors conversation. And so if you're getting something from this, can you just imagine what you're going to get when you sit into her session and you come into this beautiful atmosphere of women at this summit in just a couple of weeks. But what are some ways in private that we can, like you said, pivot? How do we, because we're closing soon, how do we honor ourselves while working through all of this? What are some ways you have had to adjust? We
Oh,
hear this soft life being thrown around, but in my mind, it's just self-care. It's me doing what I can do. I ain't trying to be no husband. I ain't trying to be no father.
yeah,
I'm just trying to be me, whatever
yeah,
God has given me to govern.
yeah,
But
yeah.
us too, talk about how we can honor ourselves in private while we're working through all of this publicly. And then the second piece, what does it look like for Miss Verily today? Like if people wanted to tap into your life and you gave us a sneak peek, what's the soft life about for you at this season? What type of
Oh,
adjustments did you have to make, for yourself?
oh God. So listen. So one of the practical ways that I'm just going to share, right? Because I tell my clients, I don't ask them to do anything that I have not done myself, right? I practice. So for me, self-care, and you hit the nail right on the head. Self-care was huge. I had an amazing support system while I was taking that final journey with Ramon. And me and my best friend, the next morning, or it might have been after we ate breakfast later on that evening. I think we went to the gym. Ramon died at 4:44 a.m. We went to go eat breakfast. I had to do that live, right? Because I had to shut some things down that morning once we were at breakfast. And then after that, I think we went to go work out. And so for me, the gym became it just consistently became my refuge. So, and what
Yeah,
you realize is that all of your senses are involved in your grieving process, each and every
yeah.
last one of them, right? And you got to
Okay.
make sure that you're taking care of your body, your mind, and your spirit, right? We might
Yeah,
have people here who we are believers, but we may have people on here who engage that are not believers. And so whatever their higher
yeah.
spiritual
Hmm.
power is, or their entombment is, leave it to them, right? Whatever that looks like for you. You leave. Your spiritual foundation is important to your
Hmm.
healing journey, right? Your spiritual foundation, your body, how you take care of your body. If you have the means to do so, get you a massage membership somewhere. Schedule you some massages every month. Get you a massage membership. Let that be your time. I started implementing something where when I go to the nail shop, I don't take phone calls. I don't take phone calls. I don't look at emails. That is my personal time. It is very rare that I will take a phone call or be sending text messages while I'm in a pedicure chair, while I'm doing self-care, getting my nails and my toes done. That's my time. That's time that I set aside for me. Right. And then also, if you do journaling, do that. You do check-ins. I have this document that I work with my clients with, where when they're coming to me specifically for grief, I have them do check-ins with themselves. Right.
Yeah,
Where am I today? Because where am I in this moment? Because each moment in your grief journey can look different. Like right now, I could be
yeah,
fine. And then something could
yeah,
trigger me later. And
yeah.
that could send me into a whole spiral. And guess what?
Listen.
If you're doing the work, right? I'm not saying that the spirals will stop. I'm saying you'll be able to better manage them.
Hallelujah.
Because it's not
Amen.
grief can be debilitating. Grief can paralyze you, right? And halt all of your mobility. The goal in grief is not to get stuck, though. So if you're doing the work, you don't have to get stuck. Yeah, it's gonna come. We're never not grieving. We just learn how to wrap our lives around the grief.
Hallelujah.
It stays with us. It stays,
Yes.
but productively, we can wrap our lives around that, and we can honor that person or that thing in which we lost.
Woo.
We can.
Wow, wow, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what else to say. This woman is phenomenal. She has so much wisdom, so much grace, so much real life experiences that not every clinical therapist or coach or licensed mental health counselor has, but she's got some real life experience that supports the work she does. That makes it even more relatable. That makes it even more believable because she has had to walk some of these things out. when you think about starting again and new starts, well, she had to have a new start. She's got to have a new start. She had to rebrand her image of what she saw her life being. And maybe some of you have too. And that's okay. And that's why we want you to share this. We want you to continue to partner with this amazing community of women that's here to support you. We want to extend our heartfelt thanks and appreciation to Verily for being here today. I mean, this woman is fire. If you are not going to be in Houston, Texas with us in a couple of weeks to hear her, I don't know what to say to you. But you need to make your way. You need to be in the room in Houston, Texas, because this lady is going to, and I don't know how many times she has stood and shared her story since everything, just collectively, but she will be sharing her story.
This will actually be, Scharita, this, in part, in this type of forum, this will actually be maybe the second time, because I think I did it at Shandy's event in Ohio.
Okay.
This will be the second time that people are hearing it in part, right? I think this will be the second time. Yeah.
Wow. So you got to hear, what this woman's journey is all about. You just heard pieces today. When she brings this whole thing together to really invite people into being a courageous woman and what that has looked like for her, having to find the pieces to rebuild her life and to find hope and to find strength and to find courage in the face of adversity. I mean, this Joy's story starts with her childhood. It's beyond. This woman has a lot to unpack, and it's going to help you. It's going to empower you. It's going to inspire you. You need to be there. You need to be in the room on August the 10th. Go to empowermentsummit.net. Verily, I am just blown away. I didn't know what I expected. I should have expected that, I should have expected the unexpected.
That's right.
This was wow. Yeah, it was amazing. And it's always a joy to have you. I tried to show up in the best way I could for you because when I love people, I really love them. And I'm a person that shows love through actions. And so I tried to just honor my love for you in the best way I can by touching, reaching out and connecting and sewing where I could. And just, just to let you know, like, hey, I got you. I'm in your corner. And if you need me, I'm here. But I admire your strength. I admired you before all of this, but certainly through this, it's been amazing to watch your resilience. I was really happy when you returned to the public. You went away for a while. And so I was happy to see you come back to sharing and podcasting and posting and your business and, all the public eye work of what you were probably still doing away from social media, but it was nice to see you return. So I want to put you in full screen now as we're closing. And hopefully if you guys have enjoyed hearing this tonight, we want you to just put it in the chat because, if you know Verily, if that's your girl, if that's, tell her in the chat. If she's new to you and you're excited about the story, tell us in the chat, share this interview, share this challenge day. Last day of our challenge, we had two, and I feel like her interview was so amazing. But we're going to put her in full screen, and she's going to leave you guys with some words of affirmation, or if she wants to speak and release something to you. For those of you who are coping through grief, you're coping through trauma. We understand. We have a big, great God that understands too. But we're going to ask her some words that will comfort your heart. And then we're going to close. We really appreciate you all being here today. Verily, over to you.
Listen, so as we are closing up this interview, I just want to encourage someone who may be, like Lady Scharita said, experiencing grief, trauma, whatever that looks like for you. Life doesn't stop there, right? You've got everything inside of you, right? To be everything that you were purposed to become. the pain, the betrayal, the loss, the heartbreak, that's all a part of the plan. I know it hurts. It feels horrible when we're going through it. And I'm reminding of a time that I hurt my foot and didn't know that it was bleeding. And as I was nursing it, I heard, I didn't hurt you. I didn't injure you to hurt you. I injured you to heal you. So sometimes our injury is for our healing that we need to receive on the other side of that thing, on the other side of the work. So if you are Houston, surrounding areas, if you want to fly into Houston, I mean, Houston is an amazing place, even though we had little hurricane things going on, but come on, come join us. Come join us at the Women's Empowerment Summit, August the 10th. And we are a bunch of women who are going to get together and have an amazing time. And we want you to join us to be bold, be courageous, be beautiful, be brave. And I look forward to seeing you all on August the 10th.
Wow, phenomenal. Come on, family. Let's give it up for Miss Verily Harris-Harper. She closed us out with such a phenomenal interview. She was so transparent. She was so anointed. Her words are anointed. And they're full of life. And she's funny, y'all. She's really funny. Verily is funny. So come and meet her alone with the incredible women that will be with her. We hope to see you on Saturday, August the 10th in Houston, Texas. It's going to be a phenomenal time of encouraging women to move forward, to get up, to go forward, and to find that resilience and that strength on the inside. So you can go to empowermentsummit.net. And again, we look forward to seeing you. Thank you to everyone that has been a part of this challenge. Thank you for watching our speakers. Thank you for being here for these interviews. They were absolutely amazing. Cheryl, Thomas Fortune on yesterday, and closing us out with Verily Harris-Harper today for our second challenge. It was phenomenal. We had Lady Jessica Cooper in our first challenge, Dr. Tori Knox, and we had Dr. Alyssa Jones. It's been great. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to our SLE Global team for all their work. And we have to shout out the House of Strategy, Lady Quinetta, for all of her work she did on the design work and setting up the brand new challenge in this one. So we're very thankful. Listen, God is good. We want you women to be empowered and inspired. Come on and share this amazing, incredible interview with Verily. Share this incredible interview on day one with Cheryl, Thomas Fortune, her powerful interview. Share their stories and let's be seen. Let's be heard. Let's be free. Let's see you at Women's Empowerment Summit in Houston, Texas, Saturday, August the 10th. All right. God bless you all. Have a